What's going on, guys? Star Power here, and welcome to another tier list video. So, as you guys probably know, given some of my other tier list videos, I love Death Battle. I'm a huge fan. I've seen at least every episode once, and today, because their new season is currently out and they've done a couple of remakes, I think it'd be fun to go back through all of the matchups they've ever done, see which ones I would want them to remake if I could choose. And here's how this is gonna work. If the episode has already been remaked, both of them are going to go here, unless I want them to do it again. And for everything else, it'll just go where I see fit. Alright, so, you know what, let's just do this. First one, OG Samus and Boba Fett. Okay, this one already has a remake, so... well, let's just go find the other one just to cover our own asses. Here it is. So, that's the remade one. But I would say a remake of that one actually wouldn't hurt, just so they could, like, deep dive into Samus. We've already got an episode where they dove into Boba Fett, so now we need one with Samus. But I will say there are probably better matchups, but, you know, just because it's one that they've already done, I'm just going to put it here because that's how the game works. Alright. Akuma versus Shang Tsung. Now that one, Akuma beat Shang Tsung's ass. But I'm going to say probably that wouldn't change anything, so I'm going to say that one it's unnecessary to make a remake, so it would be the same shit. Rogue versus Wonder Woman. I'm just gonna put it in outcome would change if they remade it, but as far as does it desperately need one, no. Goomba versus Koopa. Like, I think we can already just put that there. Hagar and Zangief. Honestly, yeah, that needs a heavy-duty remake. The Turtles Battle Royale, again, for them to put more respect on the Turtles would be nice. Especially, like, the other three that aren't Leonardo. Fitz versus Leonardo. I'm gonna put that in wouldn't hurt. Now, as far as Yoshi Riptor, that is unnecessary because, as far as I know, Riptor does not have star level feats. Yoshi does. Felicia versus the Blaze Blue Cat. It wouldn't hurt. I'd be interested, but it doesn't really matter. Kratos versus Spawn. Unnecessary. Because they've remade one with Kratos and another separate one with Spawn. I think we can all agree Spawn would absolutely beat the shit out of Kratos. Bomberman and Big Doug. Unnecessary. I really didn't care about that fight to begin with. Vegeta versus Shadow. Unnecessary. I would still think Vegeta would dominate. Just because he's on par with Ultra Instinct Goku now. And as far as I know, Shadow has never shaken a multiverse with a punch. Not that I think Goku has also done that, but he's gotten close. Could have at least destroyed the universe, and you know what? Actually just gonna put that there because I would be interested to see that. Mario vs. Sonic, that one already has a remake. Luke Skywalker versus Harry Potter. Outcome wouldn't change, but I would still want a remake, just so that they could actually do these characters more justice. Chun-Li versus Mai? May, I don't know how to say that. That one wouldn't hurt, but I'm not desperate to see it. Starscream Rainbow Dash, also same. Master Chief Doom Guy, they've already had a remake. Same with Link E Cloud. Also this one. Actually, Goku Superman, I'm putting all three of them here, and none of you can stop me. So, Eggman versus Wily. I'd actually be down to see them do that one again. Same with Zelda and Peach. I really want this one again. Thor versus Raiden. Thor would kick shit out of Raiden. That's not necessary. Batman v Spider-Man desperately needs a remake. Especially for them to bring actual Peter Parker. Pikachu versus Blanca. Wouldn't hurt, but I don't really care. He-Man and Lion-O, also same, not really my thing. But I think it would be a good fight if they did that. M. Bison and Shao Kahn. Because they've put Khan versus Akuma, I'm gonna say that one's not necessary because we've seen that Mortal Kombat characters are generally above the Street Fighter characters in raw power most of the time. Hugh versus Strider, wouldn't be a bad thing. Ivy versus Orchid, also. Fox versus Bucky O'Hare. I just think that would be so funny for them to do that one again. Terminator v RoboCop absolutely needs a remake. Same, in my opinion, with Aliens. Like, this one would also belong here, but I'm only putting this one here because, yes, the outcome would change, but I don't personally want them to do that again. Like, if they did, I'm not going to send them hate, but I don't care. OG Starter Battle Royale. Fulgor versus Sector. I'm going to put that one here because I just want to see them do that one again. Godzilla and Gamera. No, Godzilla would wipe the floor with him. Batman versus Cap. Megazord versus Epion. No, not necessary. Ryu versus Scorpion. No, we all know how that would wind up. Deadpool, Deathstroke. That's obvious. Kirby, Majin Buu. This one I want to see do that one again, because that's a good episode, in my opinion. Ragna versus Soul. I would say that would go in wouldn't hurt. Gaara versus Toph. Again, it wouldn't hurt, but I don't see any reason that the fight would go any differently. But again, that's just me. Norris versus Santro, we don't need that one again. That one's already been done. Well, it's not been remade, it's just... we all know how that would go. It would be another tie. Guts versus Nightmare. I would be open to seeing that one again, but it's not going to kill me if it doesn't. Iron Man versus Lex, no. Beast versus Goliath. I would say that one definitely needs one to put more respect on both characters. Snake versus Sam, no. Don't need that one, because that one's already so cool. Vader versus Doom. Goku Superman still goes there. DK versus Knuckles. Wouldn't hurt, but I don't really care about. I don't really care. Wolverine versus Raiden. I feel like most of them are going to wind up in the gray one anyway. You know what? Actually, I'm going to change something really quick. I'm just going to get rid of that row entirely because it's just taking up space for no reason. Hercule versus Dan, that does not need a remake. Yang versus Tifa, on the other hand, I feel like that one kind of would need a remake at this point because of the Cloud remake episode. Mega Man versus Astro. I wouldn't mind. Hawkeye versus Green Arrow. Probably doesn't need one. Red versus Digimon, no. Dante versus Bayonetta. I think that would just make it more of a stomp, so no. Bowser v Ganon. But I'm just gonna say it. Fight wouldn't change either way because Bowser doesn't have any holy weapons. Ratchet and Clank versus Jak and Daxter. Doesn't need one. Flash v Quicksilver. Doesn't need one. Booker Sweet Tooth. Shadow versus Mewtwo. I would say absolutely needs a remake. Meta versus Cortana. Not Cortana, Carolina, my bad. Cammy versus Sonya. I would be interested in seeing that one. So that one will go there. Tracer versus Scout. I'm unsure about this one. I'll just put it here. Actually, you know what? I'll put it there, because I see no problem with that episode. I still think Tracer would win, but a lot of people seem to think that they did Scout dirty. I don't know. I never played Team Fortress or Overwatch, so who am I to say? Ken versus Terry. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Amy versus Scott Pilgrim Girl. I don't remember her name. Hulk v Doomsday. Wouldn't hurt, but I'm not desperate. Zoro versus Scarlet. Deadpool Pinkie Pie. Now we're getting into a lot of the fights that are like more modern death battles. So I would say this is roughly about the time that they started actually getting good. Lara Croft and Nathan Drake. Not needed. Scrooge versus Shovel Knight, also no. Venom versus Bane. Wouldn't be a bad idea, but I would mainly want to see Bane come back in a different episode, not versus Venom. Megazord versus Voltron. Ace versus Natsu. Sub-Zero and Glacius. Fiend versus Captain Marvel. I would say not a terrible idea. Same with Metal versus Zero. Lucario Redamon. No. Balrog versus TJ Combo Automatic. No. Same with Shredder, Silver Samurai, and Smokey versus McGruff. Thor versus Wonder Woman, I would say, deserves a rematch. Same, undoubtedly, goes for Naruto and Ichigo. 'Cause I know this is one of the episodes that they've actively said they did something wrong. They like miscalculated something. So that one, I think, would be a good idea to run that one back. Batman Beyond versus Spidey 2099. Not needed, in my opinion. Virgil, Batman, Black Panther. My only issue with that one is I think Batman would have a sound gun that could overload Vibranium, but I still don't think it would save him. Twilight versus Raven. No. Jotaro versus Kenshiro. That one wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't think the outcome would change too drastically, but I think going more in-depth would be good, especially since we've gotten a lot of other in-depth JoJo matchups. Crash versus Spyro, that one's pretty good already. Hit versus Soul versus Frank. I'm just gonna... A lot of these are just... don't need another remake because they're already pretty good on their own. When we get to one that's not going here, I'll talk. Mario vs. Sonic, the new one. I will say that goes, fans want it, I really don't. I think this one is a lot more accurate. I think Mario would dominate Sonic. Oh boy, here we go. Ben 10 versus Green Lantern. One of the most infamous death battle fights. There. You live there now. Because I'm just gonna say it. Hal would destroy Ben 10. I don't care. Hal's ring is so much more versatile than the Omnitrix. I'm not saying either one is bad. In fact, the Omnitrix is super cool, but it is nowhere near the same level of power as a Green Lantern ring. There's a lot of these that are just gonna go straight to not needing a remake, or... Damn. I did kind of realize this, but... I guess this doesn't make for much exciting content now, does it? Okay, Link vs. Cloud already has a remake, and I don't think we need to see another one. Okay, here we go. Finally one that doesn't go in unnecessary. it's a lot of match. There. That is like the one episode that I actively have a problem with. Because this is like the only one, aside from Bieber vs. Rebecca Black, which is, funnily enough, not even on this list. But this is the only death battle that doesn't actually feel like a death battle. It feels like boomstick lore wrapped in a fight. Which, neither of them on their own are bad. I would have rather had them make this an actual, like, full-blown episode of Death Battle where they go deep into characters, and they just do the fight and then the episode's over, and then maybe make a YouTube short about Boomstick's lore. I wouldn't even care if these characters came back in that short. But just making these characters like kind of a plot device felt cheap. It felt lame. It felt like they didn't care. And I didn't like that. Also, I know this one is a little rough, but I'm gonna say Dio versus Alucard should go there too. Just because I see no reason for this one to get remade. Because, two things. First, it said in the little blurb, like a little text box on the side, that Dio has shown no evidence that he can't use his vampire powers ever since swapping bodies with Jonathan. Now, disclaimer, I've never watched JoJo. The only thing I know about JoJo is from Death Battle. Take that as you will. But, and I mean this in the nicest way possible and not trying to sound like an ass, if anyone can find any evidence that Dio can no longer use his vampire powers since gaining Jonathan's body, whether it's in the anime, in the manga, if even the creator said something about it, please let me know. Otherwise, that argument is going to be invalid in my opinion. And secondly, let's say, for the sake of argument, you're right. It either has to be Vampire Dio or Dio using the world. I don't think either one really matters. Alucard still loses. In fact, I would say he would have an easier time fighting Vampire Dio than he would Dio with his stand. But that's not saying much. Okay, soapbox time is over. This one. Fans are kind of thinking about it. I really don't care. I still think that Madara should take that easily. Well, this one might be a slight hot take. But I would be down to see a Deku-Asta rematch fight. Especially with the new one, Deku versus Miles Morales. I definitely think with My Hero officially over, there is more of an argument to be made for Deku in this case. Not saying he's guaranteed to win, but I'm saying it would probably be closer than people expect. The last Goku Superman one, and they all just go there because I think we're all collectively sick and tired of this matchup. Now these are the most recent ones, and there are a few that are missing, but that's not a big deal. I'm just gonna leave all of these out, because as you can probably guess, most of them would go in unnecessary. The only one that I will touch on is Omni-Man versus Bardock. And because of that, it's going here. Fans want it, not me. Because, again, even if you ran this back, I don't see why the fight would go any different. You can come at me in the comments, that's fine. But if you're at least willing to have a mature discussion about it, where you're not just insulting me, I would be happy to talk about it. Right. And let's just double check this. Alright, I think we have got a pretty good list on our hands. So, that's gonna do it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching it. Want me to maybe come back to this later, let me know. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, shine on.